YouTube. Hello. So this is white oak, and this was given to me by the tree trimmer guy. He called me and said, "You want some oak firewood?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Ooh." He said, "How do you want it cut?" And I said, "Oh, about 16 inches." So I got some pieces that are 8 or 9, and I got some that are like this. And some that are like this. I don't know. I don't know what's up with that, but I'm not gonna complain. It is white oak. It is free. I didn't have to run a chainsaw to get it. It does amaze me how it's cut into the random lengths, and I wanted to really kind of give this guy a hard time about it, but these are, I'd rather them be smaller than longer because they're easier to split, and they cut them this way, even though it doesn't make sense to me from a firewood perspective. They cut them this way because they were gonna throw them in the chipper, and so I obliged them by preventing that, but they'd already cut a bunch of it up. They also had a bunch of, I mean, you know, it's not a very big piece of wood, but I do have a small stove in my shop that I'll put it in, I guess, in a couple of years. It was in town, it was on the side of the road. I am kind of a maniac for free wood. It is very juicy. The spring has begun to sprung here, and so now the sap is running up, which means that all the firewood cutting is going to be in very living green wood, and that presents a little bit of a curing challenge. I already got 2020 fall 24 is already cut, and winter of 25 is already cut, which that's the same season. So this is just some bonus, and I'm going to let it season all summer, and then we'll see where it is. I got a feeling it's going to take. It's going to take a little bit. Oh, well, no wonder. It's also, when they cut it like this, it's hard to tell where the grain is sometimes, but it is going to take less time to season because it's smaller, but then again, it's also really sappy. And I don't know if you could, it's raining here a lot, so everything's wet. I loaded all this in the rain. That kind of sucked, but I don't turn down free oak that's been cut, as long as the conditions are right. You know, if the homeowner's cool, yeah, just come get it when you can. All right. If they're a maniac, I want that wood cleaned up tomorrow, well, I'm not gonna mess with it. Maybe I should be a little bit more grateful, but I got neighbors all over the place wanting me to cut wood down at their house that fall. Dadgummit. And I also just don't like to be bossed around by people who don't pay me. Not my favorite. So if it's a good deal, meaning if it's convenient for me and it works out for them, usually people are like, yeah, just come get it when you can. I'd rather you have it than it go to the landfill or wherever it's going to go. And works out. This is definitely small, chunky wood, and I'll probably even, some of them I will leave like this, but I will take some way down, like to not what I would consider kindling level, but like little stave pieces like that. And I always need those. Now oak's not really the best one for that, but if I let that dry long enough, it will be. I think what I'm going to do with this is, once I get it all split, I'm going to obviously stack it all summer in the sun and wind and rain, and then I may cover it. I'll probably burn a few pieces to test it and see. This is yard grown too, so it's not. It's not perfect. I guess I'm splitting this one upside down. That one could have used one more. There is evidence of these big knots on the outside. It's kind of holding it up, which is not the worst. Okay, so this came from the local utility. They got crews that cut wood, and I just know a guy who knows a guy, you know, that kind of a deal. You see him on the side of the road and say, hey, if you ever need a place to dump that wood, here's my address. I've had tree trimmers drop entire loads off, like 10 trees off. And I know I could probably seek out some logger situations around here, because there are definitely a few sawmills and guys cut and sell butt logs down there, but I'm not going to pay anybody to drop it off either. I mean, that's another thing. This is convenient for me if it's convenient for them. So, but I said, he said, how long you want them cut? And I said, 16 inches. And he said, all right, 16 inches. And I said, because this happened before. I said, now, do your crew know how to work that tape measure? And he goes, I got a tape measure. I said, okay, you got it. My ass. So I think it's one of those just trying to get through the day, and they're hedging their bets in case I don't show up. If they cut them small, then they can still load them in the chipper a little bit easier than, because I have ghosted them a couple times when it was crummy wood or something, or the pile wasn't exactly like it was advertised. But you know, I try to keep my word. One guy had pecan wood, which I love. If all I had was pecan wood, I'd be happy clam. But it was trunk, and it had knots like that big all the way around it. It was huge. I don't know what kind of, like an octopus growing on the ground. I couldn't split it. I couldn't load it. I finally just had to tell him, Hoss, sorry to let you down, but I can't handle this stuff. He didn't reply, but the wood went away, so I guess that pissed him off. I never heard from him again. I guess that just pissed him off. And he knew better, which is understandable. But I've gotten to the point now where I simply try to admit to and adhere to my own limits. guess, I mean, there's some kind of a squatty knot thing going right there. I guess that's holding it up. I mean, just I got these white oak chunks, which are odd. The other fella who he called had come got all he wanted. He said he got 2 trailer loads and he called calf rope on him and didn't come back anymore. Well, I said, all right, well, I'll pick up where he left off. Because he was talking about how big the rounds were. And I thought, well, if the rounds are big, then that's good clear wood. It ought to split easy. Well, then I got this stuff, which it's not the worst, but yeah, it's definitely some smaller, stovier pieces, which I guess is good because I burned in the stove. But I can't sell this. If I come up to, the city fireplace person who burns in their fireplace on Thanksgiving or Christmas when the kids come home, that kind of stuff. I give them a bunch of pieces like that, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. So this is for me and my stove. It is sloppy. It really needs one more day out here. We got some snow last night, which was bizarro. It was like 55 degrees yesterday. And so now everything is just ooched in with snow melt, just enough to keep it wet and gross. But when it is wet, it's really not the best to handle. That's when you can tear off all your calluses. Oak is pretty splintery. When it's clear grain, easy splitting. When it's funky like this stuff, it can be worse. But if you're looking to get free firewood, call the utilities, man. They sometimes they have it chipped up. Sometimes they have a log yard or something like that they just dump it at. Around here, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes they have crews coming along and chipping it, all sizes. I don't know what happens to chips. Other times they've got a log yard, where they just dump all their logs and let people pick out of. Well, nothing is worse than trying to saw a bunch of logs that are in a big pile. So I really don't want to do that. So I try to head them off at the pass. Say, hey, if you need a place to dump it, I got you. Let's try and get them 16 inches. Which there are varying levels of success. Okay, free firewood from the tree trimmels. That's it. I got some work to do. Got a red oak video coming up soon that I'm kind of psyched out of my mind about. And I'm looking forward to that one. I think it's pin oak, but I got it from the same tree trimming crew, and I got some pretty big rounds on the trailer. That's going to be in a couple days, so looking forward to that one. That one's got some really good examples of You know, we got some big pieces and some little pieces. You got to kind of take what you can get too. Look at, I showed you this funny one. Look at this one I got. This one is destined for the bonfire. I'm not even gonna saw that up. But we'll roast a weenie. Roast a weenie. Okay. Later.